All right, good morning, champs. Okay, so if I had to do a presentation about something, about anything, it might flow a little something like this. And this is going to be really fast, so buckle your seatbelts on this. The first thing I would do is I would wake them up. You know, when I get people talking to me about their presentations, they're always like, Josh, give me something. I want to be interesting. I don't want to put people to sleep. But here's the secret. People are already sleeping. Before you even open your mouth, people are distracted. They're like, what's on TV? What's my kid doing at school? Is my dog pooping on the carpet? Right? So all these things are going on in their head. It's our job as the presenter to wake them up. So maybe bust a myth. Maybe there's a myth in your industry because you're the expert that you can share that can just totally transform someone's thought process. Maybe a shocking statistic, maybe just ask a question. So for me, maybe I would make a big, bold claim like shy equals broke in business, especially. Whoops, going the wrong way here. So maybe I would talk about shy equals broke. Whoops, I am off the chart here. So, and I would also probably claim that many entrepreneurs and business owners don't even know how shy that we're being, right? And how it's hurting our business by hiding behind our product. Because the number one killer of business is obscurity. The number two killer is actually just being forgotten. So we've got to do something about this being shy. So number two thing I would probably talk about is let's sell the problem. One of the biggest mistakes I see in sales, and I've done some professional sales training for the financial industry, the number one issue is people try and sell the solution, right? The number one mistake. So they're talking about like, here's my water bottle. Look at my water. This is the best water in the world. Isn't it great? It's like tears of God in a bottle. It's like right off the mountains of the Andes and it's just beautiful. It's awesome. Don't you want my water? Don't you want it? And all I'm thinking is, I'm not thirsty. See, if you can sell the problem, if you can get me to agree that dehydration is my enemy, that it's killing my business, it's killing my family, it's killing my career at work, you can probably scoop water out of the toilet and I would buy it from you. So this part here, this is not about hitting someone over the head with the problem. This isn't judgment or shaming them. This is empathizing. This is understanding where your audience is, the pain that they're sitting on, the tack they're sitting on that's uncomfortable, and getting them to agree and nod with you that yes, this is the problem. So what is the problem here? Why are we so shy in business? There's a lot of reasons. Some of us are just not clear on why we exist in business. And I'm not talking about your product, by the way. That's not the actual reason why. Some of us think we're afraid of public speaking, so we don't want to talk up. But that's actually not true. It actually goes back to our clarity. But really, one of the big reasons is we're afraid to take a stand. We're so deathly afraid to say what we really want to say. Josh, what will people think about me? Let me tell you something. You should be so lucky that someone ever thinks about your business again. Because like I said, the number one reason for going out of business is obscurity. So we're all worried about what this person's going to think about us, this person that'll probably never do business with us. They're not even our ideal prospect. Meanwhile, at best, we're being invisible, or at worst, we're repelling our ideal prospect. And that's just not cool. So third thing I would do, what are you? So what are you? And I say that on purpose. Who are you is great. You can definitely share who you are, which is a wonderful person. It's your background, it's your name, it's all the stuff that was given to you, all that stuff that defines you, and that's beautiful. But what are you is your chosen identity. And hopefully you know that not only do you get to choose your own identity, but if someone else chooses it for you, it's actually called a label. And it's probably not going to be a good label. So we have to choose our own identity. We have to define ourselves, because if we don't put that place in, someone's going to do it for us, and it's probably not going to be the label that we want. So I might share something like, hi, I'm Josh, right? I'm the identity archaeologist. And yes, I always get the question, what does that mean, Josh? What is that identity archaeologist? What does it mean? It means I have no competition. And I say that, and a lot of people get kind of like, whoa, how could you have no competition? But it's actually true. And that's not just a fancy label or moniker. It really speaks to how I take my genius, the stuff I'm really, really good at, and I apply it to a commodity called personal branding. And it's so it cannot be copied. And I'm on a mission. Look, folks, I have to share, it's a dagger to my soul every time I see a talented professional or solopreneur with a heart of gold and a business, a service of gold, unable to get the time of day from their ideal prospect because they lack the skill, they lack the message, or they just lack the confidence to move that conversation forward, to go from every business first impression like this, like a presentation or a networking or a podcast interview, into that second impression where you sit down one-on-one, you share your value, and you get to actually earn a new client. So then the fourth thing I would do, so now that we've woken people up, we've solved the problem, everyone agrees on what the problem is, they know what you do. Now the most important thing is they got to know why you care. Why are you the one talking to them, right? Why you and not someone else? Why are you the one speaking? Why are you the right person to bring this to the world? Because as they say, nobody cares what you know until they know why you care. So there's probably something in your story that relates to this, that makes you relevant to this conversation, to this thing that you're sharing with people. So for me, I would probably share that I grew up as a soldier. I really did. I was a soldier growing up. In fact, I was the good soldier, actually. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I did everything I was told to do. I followed the rules. I kept my head down. I bought the lie that success was just obeying, was just doing what you were told. And as we all know now, especially us entrepreneurs, that's a bunch of BS. So I know what it's like to live a shy. Some people live a lie. I lived a shy. My entire life I was shy. But guess what? No more tiptoeing through life hoping to make it safely to death. That is not what I'm about. And it's not about anyone that I work with. We're actually gonna start standing up and start standing out. Number 5, finally, this is the part everyone waits for. They're like, this is the part I love, Josh, because now you actually get to talk about your product or your service. Finally, share the solution, right? But here, you can share, based on how much time you have, you can share a lot of detail, you can share a little, but I would caution you, the less detail and the more transformation that you can share, the better. So, and by the way, notice how product is now number 5. Notice how this isn't the first thing you're talking about. This isn't it's not at the top. You've already made the most important sale in the beginning of your presentation, which is you, right? People buy you first, your product second. So now it's time to share the solution. How are you going to make this happen? So for me, I might talk about how I play, right? How I play in the world, how I play in business, from doing micro brand attraction, which is a group program, to concierge consulting and helping people create the most powerful and authentic personal brand that will completely redefine the level at which they play in business and in life, right? So here's the part where you're going to share what you do, your products and your services. Now, as you start wrapping up, number 6, and this is second from last, now it's time to paint the vision. Now it's time to share, what does that finish line look like, right? Imagine a world, help people imagine a world where your mission is now complete. Sell that dream. Bring people back on that emotional roller coaster, back up to how great things are going to be if they decide to get into your inner circle. So I might share something like, I want you to imagine a world, this is my vision, a world of personal free trade, where you do what you do best, I do what I do best, and because we're doing what we should be doing, we create surplus. And with surplus, we get to share. We have to share. And when we share, scarcity goes away. Hunger, homelessness, racism, hate, all the stuff driven by scarcity is gone. And there's no longer a line between business and personal. We are now one person on a mission, getting paid for just being our beautiful selves. That's where we're going with this. That's where I'm going with this. Whoops, come on. And finally, call to action. How can they help? Always, always in any presentation, please have a call to action. One of the most, it's absolutely rude to build someone up, to give them a chance, give them a new level of awareness, and then not offer them the opportunity to take the next step. Not 15 steps down the line. This is not about getting them to become your client during the presentation. This is about what's that very next step that they can take to be part of your mission, to take that next step in their own life, in their own path with your help. So I might share something like, it's time to go from shy to shine, right? Allow me to be of service. If you want to dig deeper, I have a Lighthouse Effect webinar where you can learn more about personal branding. You can learn more about how to shine above the sea of sameness in your crowded industry. Or you can go even a little deeper, and I don't offer this openly to the public, but I do offer it when I do these presentations for certain audiences, is to let's work on your answer to what do you do? This is your compelling first impression. How do you answer the question, what do you do, in a effective, persuasive, compelling way that gets people into that second impression, that helps move the conversation forward? And, or just have a quick conversation with me and we'll laugh, we'll cry, we'll smile, and ask any of your questions about messaging, marketing, personal branding, or basically how to get your message out there effectively. So thank you, 1 million cups. Like I said, I didn't practice this presentation. And this is actually brand new. I did it for someone else a few weeks ago. But hopefully you got some good nuggets. Hopefully you got some value. It maybe started changing your view on what a presentation can be or what a presentation should be. But at the end of the day, remember the goal of a presentation. It's not to sell your product. It's not to give a bunch of information. It's to connect emotionally with someone. It's to get them disturbed a little bit, bring them some value, and get them so gosh darn curious that they're excited to learn more, that they're ready to take that next step. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Josh. I think we should do questions. Josh is usually our question moderator, but I think today we'll put him under the microscope.
We can just keep it open, easy.
So I will lead off with the first question. What got you into this? What made you think that this is something I want to do for people?
Yeah, great question. So I was an engineer my entire life, 20 years, shy, very negative, skeptical, introverted engineer. I broke out of that because I had to. I got some wake-up calls, and I got into finance industry, and I got into the gym industry. And I was doing all this stuff as an entrepreneur, and it was fine, making money, but there was still something missing. So one day, this is about 3 years ago, I said, time out, Josh. What's your genius? What do you do better than every single person you know? What's your expertise? You know, all that stuff, that blood, sweat, and tears you put in over the past 30 years of your working life that you're really good at. And what's your passion? Where do you want to play? And I took all that and I put it together, and that's where identity archaeologist came from. So what I do now, this is what I should have been doing. I finally stopped being shy about my genius, and I decided to bring it to the world as a service in a monetizable way. And honestly, it's the best decision I've ever made.
Okay, great. Josh also used to be a bodybuilder. So if you Google Josh Zeppess,
years ago,
you will find one of the buffest engineers out there.
I'm tiny now. I don't do that stuff anymore. That's thankless. Let me tell you, that is a selfish sport, folks. It's a fantastic. It'll teach you self-discipline like nothing else will, but it's also very selfish. So just be careful with it.
Gosh,
Anyone else?
People make presentations and they never ask for the order.
What's that?
Are you saying that people make presentations and they never ask for the order?
Never ask for the order?
Yeah, that's pretty
no
simple.
call to action.
They walk away. They never ask.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, at the end. Yeah. No, and the call to action is not, remember, it's never about the product. It's not about trying to get them as a client. It's just, what is that next thing? Because if you did the presentation right, they're excited, right? They're interested. They're like, yes, I love what you're doing. This is fantastic. I want to be in your circle. I want to learn more. And then you say, okay, great. See you later. Bye-bye. Like,
Yeah.
That's rude. Don't do that to people. Give them an opportunity to take just the next step. And be careful. This is not about, don't put your product up there and say for $9.99, today only. No. It's not about making them a client right now. It's about what's that next step that they can take. And hopefully there is a next step that you want them to do.
Okay, great. Tammy said, I've been wanting to present our school at 1MC, and your presentation just helped me figure out how to organize the concept. So great. Thank you, Tammy. Tammy, where are you located?
I figured out my technology. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Hi. I'm in Sanford, Florida.
Okay.
So you guys were talking earlier about like the different concepts of business, and I'm sitting there thinking, this is why I'm in education. I had a 16+ year run, almost 20 years in software, and I flipped into education because I felt like, okay, I know what goes on in the boardroom. How do we take it back to our students so that we have a strong workforce? So this is like all right in line with what we try to tell our students. But Josh, your presentation just helped me as you were talking. I was like, oh, I could say it that way. Oh, I could pitch it that way. So thank you.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Excellent.
and thank you for that, bringing that point up. This is not a script. I completely am against scripts. I say strip the script. So if you have any scripts you're using, please throw them out and have a conversation with me, and I'll give you something different. This is a flow. This is how energy and emotion flows through a message. That's really what I was trying to share. So thank you for that. Yeah, it's very important that this has to be natural. This has to be authentic.
Yeah, no, it's good. And it made me think, we teach our students design thinking. It's pretty much the core of every project and every concept that we try to help them develop. And so you were talking, and when you said empathy, I'm like, yep, we're always talking about empathy. Like empathy is so crucial.
Yes.
You can't really get anybody's attention. And you said it, what's the old saying? They don't really care what you know until they know that you care, right? You said it. So yeah, so right on. Thanks for the affirmations.
Absolutely. And empathy is look, when someone says, what do you do? Or anyone asks you a question about your business, what they're really saying is they don't want to know what you do. That's the worst thing. The worst thing you could do to answer the question, what do you do, is actually tell them your product or service. That is the worst way to do that. What their people are really saying is, please connect with me. Please, for this love of God, tell me that you've even thought about me. Tell me that you understand where I am in life. That you know why I'm waking up 3 o'clock in the morning in a cold sweat. Please tell me that before you tell me how great you are, how great your product and service is, before all the ego stuff. Please tell me that you actually give two shits about me. That's really what they're saying.
Yeah.
Without the words. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and when you said like the day after the mission is complete, I was like, oh gosh, that resonated too, because, I can tell people like, yeah, I work for a school, I work for a high school, we teach our kids business, we teach, right? But that's kind of boring. On the other hand, I could say to you, we're preparing your future workforce.
Yeah.
We're preparing your future consumers, right? That's more effective, right? You are partnering with us to help build that future workforce. So I was, like I said, taking notes. Like I'm almost done with my presentation on written paper. And I will reach out to you, Eric. You've been on my list. I'm a little not shy at all, but just like trying to pitch it the right way is always crucial, because most people that don't have kids don't really care about high school, right?
Yep.
But there's a reason why the business community is crucial to high school. So
Yep. Cool.
And sharing that vision is a great way to take your conversation up another energy level. Some people, we get too caught up in the lower energy stuff, like talking products and features and details, but that higher level, which is mission and purpose and vision and cause and stand, that is a higher energy level. And that's what's going to attract people more into your circle, whether it's a presentation or anything that you're doing. So yeah, vision is super, super important at the end there.
Yep. Awesome.
I would also dovetail off of that and say, don't be too vague in your descriptions. I had a friend who used to have an embroidery company, and when we were doing this elevator pitch thing at our local chamber years ago, and her elevator pitch was, I help make your company more memorable. And I said, so does a guy with a sandwich board. You don't tell me, that doesn't tell me what you do. I can make my company more memorable just by pushing somebody. Hey, remember me. They'll remember me forever. But so at least give a little bit of an explanation of what you do in that pitch, in that description of how you help people. Don't make it so vague that it could be anything.
And let me take that one more step further, actually, Eric, because you're correct. Be careful. What you do is not actually what you do. And I'm going to give you guys a mind hack real quick. What you do is the transformation. How you do it is what you think is what you do. So for example, let's say you're selling life insurance and I ask you, what do you do? I sell life insurance and investments, and oh, wonderful. But life insurance is not what you do. What you do is you make sure my 4-year-old has a chance to go to college if I die in a car accident tomorrow. What you do is you make sure that my wife doesn't have to go marry for money if I pass away from a heart attack next week. Like that's what you do. How you do it is life insurance. So when you talk about what you do, definitely talk about the transformation, and you could bring in some of the details of the how, but make sure that you understand the difference, because we get so caught up in talking about the how only, we forget to actually tell people what we do. And that's what's going to ultimately connect with folks.
Okay, great. Any other questions?
Remember, when you're
Um,
talking with people, you want to do business with people who are your friends. And the reason for that is they'll stay with you a lot longer. How can they become your friend if you don't know anything about them? Ask a lot of questions, find out about their background, what they've done, how they got where they are. What are their likes, their dislikes. Find out something about them so you've got a friend. You're going to have a business associate forever if you do that.
That's right. And part of making a friend is you also have to be vulnerable. And that's where hopefully you guys notice that's where a lot of this has come from, where you have to open up. You have to just tell people the freaking truth for once and say, yeah, this is where I came from. This is what I've been through. This is why I care, right? It's not just to make money. Please tell me that there's another reason beyond making money that gets you out of bed in the morning. If there isn't, you're in the wrong freaking profession. You're in the wrong business. But if there is, share it. Let people know what that is. Take it up a level beyond just making money and survival. Pam, did you have? I heard you
Yeah,
say.
my question for you is actually, I don't know if I can unraise this hand. Give me a second. Yeah,
Oh.
I lowered my, cool. So I was curious whether you've had experienced any rebranding for your company since the first time or at least that I saw you within 1 million cups, because I noticed that Shy to Shine is new. So I was just kind of curious about maybe your personal transformation story within
Yeah,
your things like that.
yeah, thank you. Actually, that's a really good question. I have not had any rebranding, but there's a difference between brand and message. And I know sometimes we get those confused, but they're really two separate things. So your brand is your core. Once you find your truth, once you dig deep enough and you know exactly why you exist, that never changes no matter who you're talking to. That's your core, that's your bedrock, that's your foundation. The message, however, that's how how you take your brand and you translate it for a specific audience. And that message constantly can be updated. That message you can have 15 or 30 different messages depending on who you're talking to. Doesn't change your brand, but it's how you articulate it. So I've done a lot of that. There's been a lot of changes to how I articulate my brand, depending upon which audience I'm looking to talk to and help. So yeah, as long as we keep those things separate, then you're always standing in your truth, and you're also able to translate it in a way that makes sense to your audience.
Awesome. Thanks.
All right. Carl, did you have something?
Yeah, I was just going to add to something that Josh said when a minute or so ago when you were mentioning that you have to open up. I think one of the things that I've always noticed is that, and this ties into some of the things you said earlier too, is that when you do open up, you might discover very quickly that there isn't a good fit or that they don't like you, and I think a lot of people are afraid of that. But quite honestly, at the end of the day, you want to rule those people out more quickly. So, it's terrible because you kind of want to have everybody say yes, but that's not reality. So I think that's it really is self-serving in that sense that, hey, this helps you. And, maybe at the very least, you can try to get something out of that by saying, hey, this might not be great for you. And I've said this to customers, but you might say, but maybe somebody else where their business is a little different than yours, one of your peers, and they do things a lot differently. Maybe you can help to connect me to somebody that you think might be a better fit. So you can always try to take that into another opportunity. And then I think at least you can walk away from that with a positive feeling, even if you get nothing from that.
Yeah, excellent point. It's a filter, right? So when you're actually being honest, you're going to filter some folks out that maybe aren't the right fit or it's not the right time. And I like to push the envelope on this kind of stuff. I'm working with someone who's doing some work in actual mental health, and we just worked on our presentation yesterday. And one of the things is she's gonna, one of the things I proposed is, she may not take this, but hey, ask people when their trash day is. Hey, when's your trash day? Is it Monday? Is it Tuesday? Oh, that's interesting because and actually in the United States, trash day is every day. Every day we throw people away. Every day we take people and we just get rid of them because once they're stigma, once they have that label of mental illness or mental health challenges, we just throw them away. We put them into a box, into the container, and we get rid of them. And that's not freaking right, right? And this is kind of how she's going to be opening up. So is that a little like, now if you're okay with throwing people away, if you don't care about that, then you're not the right audience, and that's all right, right? Go back to, you know, wherever you came from. But it's okay to take a stand like that. In fact, you need to, because it will filter the wrong people out, but it'll filter the right people in.
Yeah.
All right, anyone else? Okay, I'm going to share my screen one last time. But in the meantime, if you want, drop your contact information into the chat and then download it before I sign off. Also, say whether you're in Albany or in Orlando so we can at least, because a lot of us don't have the same phone number with the area code of where we live now. Next week, we're going to have a return speaker, Mark Masters of Mark Masters Comedy. He is a business stand-up comic, and he's going to come back and update us on what he's been doing since he talked to us last January. So hopefully we can have you back for that. In the meantime, download the chat, connect with somebody that you met here, even if they're from 1,000+ miles away. Connect with them, call on the phone, talk on the phone or on Zoom, and then join us on meetup.com. That's where we post all of our announcements about the next meeting, or you can find us on our Facebook page at 1 Million Cups Orlando. And thank you very much for coming. Albany, a big thank you to you for showing up. That was awesome that you guys came, and we appreciate having you. So thank you all. And